You want to know what's really going on with this Week 17 matchup. Everyone's talking about revenge, everyone's talking about that playoff game from last January, but what nobody's telling you is what's hiding in plain sight on the injury report. And I'm not talking about the usual bumps and bruises. I'm talking about something that could completely flip this game on its head. The Texans are walking into SoFi Stadium with a problem so catastrophic that it might not even matter what happened last year. We've got advantages, we've got concerns, and by the time I'm done breaking this down, you're going to see this game in a completely different light. What's up, Chargers fans? Welcome to the NFL Playbook Chargers. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. This channel is all about breaking down everything you need to know about the Bolts. All right, before we dive into this injury report, let me give you the context for why this game matters so much. The Broncos just beat the Chiefs in their Week 17 game, and now they're sitting at 13-3. I wanted them to lose so badly because it would have made our path easier, but they just keep winning. So here's where we stand. Denver's at 13-3, we're at 11-4. To keep pace and have a shot at winning the division, we absolutely have to beat Houston on Saturday. If we do that, we go to 12-4, and then the final game against the Broncos in Week 18 becomes the division's decider. And here's the massive advantage we've got. We already beat Denver earlier this season. That head-to-head win could be everything if we both end up with the same record. So this isn't just about revenge against the Texans. This is about staying alive in the division race and setting ourselves up for a playoff run. No pressure, right? Broncos did pretty well in this season. At first, it looked like the Chargers didn't do well, right? No, actually, the Chargers did really well with all these injuries, still at 11-4. That's amazing. What if we don't lose those 2 games against the Giants and the Commanders? Anyhow, happened is happened, and let's focus on the upcoming game. Honestly, if we beat the Texans, I'm more than 90% confident we will beat the Broncos as well. And winning these remaining 2 games is also important that although we already clinched the playoffs, we are still not locked in at any position. If we win our division, that's the best scenario. But if we can't, then I will prefer 5th spot, because then you will probably face the Steelers. And with their situation right now we can hope for an easy wildcard win. Okay, now let's get into what everyone needs to understand about this injury report, because this is where the story gets really interesting. When I first looked at these reports from both teams, I'll be honest, I had some anxiety. We've got some serious injuries on our side, no question about it. But then I kept reading, and I started to see something that changed everything. The Texans have a problem that's so catastrophic, so perfectly aligned with our greatest strength, that it might not even matter what issues we're dealing with. This injury report is actually a net positive for us, but it comes with some serious risk that we need to talk about. Let's start with our pain points, because I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. We've got 4 players officially ruled out, and they hit us in the worst possible places. The biggest loss, the one that honestly scares me the most, is Jamaree Salyer. He's out with a hamstring injury, and this is devastating for our offensive line. Salyer has been our anchor at left tackle, especially after all the injuries we've dealt with at that position this season. He's the guy protecting Justin Herbert's blind side, and now he's gone. That means we're plugging again in Austin Deculus, a backup who's about to face NFL-level pass rushers in a must-win game. The Texans are going to know exactly where the weak spot is, and they're going to attack it relentlessly with stunts, blitzes, and speed rushes. Herbert is going to have to get rid of the ball faster, move around more, and probably take some hits he wouldn't normally take. This is the single biggest threat to us winning this game. Then we've got Benjamin St-Juste out with a shoulder injury, and this hurts our secondary badly. St-Juste is a starting caliber corner, and losing him means our depth at cornerback gets tested immediately. The Texans have some talented receivers, and without St-Juste, we're going to have to rely on reserves and shuffle our DBs around. If our pass rush doesn't get home quickly, and I'll talk about why I think it will, their passing attack could exploit our thin cornerback group. Every offensive coordinator in the league is looking at this thinking about which inexperienced guy they can target with quick slants and deep routes. We also lost R.J. Mickens and Darius Davis, both ruled out. Mickens is a key backup safety and a huge special teams contributor. When you lose core special teams players, the entire unit loses speed and discipline. We could see breakdowns in coverage on punts or kickoffs, and in a close game, those hidden yards matter. Our offense is going to start drives closer to our own end zone, which means Herbert has to drive the length of the field instead of getting that helpful 10 or 15-yard boost from a big return. Now here's where it gets tricky. We've got 3 guys listed as questionable, and the most important one is Kimani Vidal. He's dealing with a neck injury, and this is a massive question mark. Kimani has been a revelation for us recently, becoming our most productive running back. He's a tough north-south runner who's given us a real identity on the ground. If he can't go, we're forced to rely almost exclusively on Omarion Hampton and maybe Jarrett Patterson. That would severely limit our ability to run the ball consistently, which is exactly what you want to do when you're trying to help a quarterback playing behind an injured offensive line. If Kimani is out, our offense becomes way too one-dimensional, and that's scary. But if he can play, even if he's limited, it's a huge boost of confidence and allows us to stay balanced and prevent the Texans from just pinning their ears back and rushing Herbert every play.
Tart is questionable with a groin injury, and he's our starting defensive tackle and key run stopper. If he can't play, our interior run defense takes a hit. And against a team that's probably going to try running the ball to protect their own injured tackles, losing your primary run defender could be costly. And then there's Mekhi Becton, who's questionable with a knee injury. He's a versatile depth lineman who can play guard or tackle. And given the Salyer injury, losing Becton removes a critical emergency option. If we have another offensive line injury during the game, we'd be down to our last resort, and that's terrifying. But here's the relief, and it's massive. Our most important players are healthy and ready. Justin Herbert has been battling that left hand injury, but he's practicing, he's playing, and he's the core of this team. Keenan Allen is back from his rest day, Trey Pipkins is healthy and ready to provide depth, but the two guys who make me feel really good about this game are Khalil Mack and Bud Dupree. Mack got his rest days and is fully prepared. Dupree is a full participant and ready to go. Why does this matter so much? Because their health directly ties into Houston's biggest weakness. And when I tell you what's going on with the Texans' offensive line, you're going to understand why this could be the game where our pass rush takes over completely. Now we get to the Texans' injury report, and this is where everything changes. This is where the advantage swings massively in our favor. Houston is dealing with a 5-alarm fire on their offensive line, specifically the simultaneous loss of both their starting offensive tackles. This is a defensive coordinator's dream scenario, and for us, it's the golden ticket. Trent Brown, their veteran starting right tackle, is ruled out with ankle and knee injuries. When a player of his caliber is out, it forces an immediate downgrade. But it gets so much worse for them. Aireontae Ersery, their starting left tackle, is questionable with a thumb injury. Reports are saying this thumb injury is severe enough that he might have had surgery and could be playing with a club if he plays at all. A thumb injury for a tackle is devastating because it limits his ability to grab, hold, and steer a pass rusher. For a tackle, this is like having your primary weapon deactivated. So here's what's happening to Houston's offensive line, and this is why I'm so confident. With Brown out, the Texans have to move Tytus Howard from his current position, probably left guard, all the way over to right tackle. Howard is a talented player, but moving a starter to a new position, especially on a short week, completely disrupts his rhythm and chemistry with the guys next to him. And guess who's going up against this uncomfortable, displaced starter? Khalil Mack. Mack is going to be licking his chops, sensing blood in the water. On the other side, with Ersery likely out or severely limited, a rookie backup like Blake Fisher steps into the left tackle position. This is the spot directly in front of the quarterback, protecting the edge. So the Texans are fielding a makeshift defensive line with a displaced starter and a backup at the two most critical positions on the field, trying to protect their quarterback from two of the most disruptive edge rushers in the league. This is where we win the game. Khalil Mack and Bud Dupree are about to have the game of their lives. This single detail from the injury report means our defensive coordinator can dial up nearly every exotic blitz and rush scheme in his playbook, knowing that Houston's protection has no continuity or stability. The Texans are going to be forced to keep tight ends and running backs in to block, which slows down their offense and limits their ability to throw deep. This is the ultimate game-altering advantage. If our pass rush dominates the way I think it will, we're going to create turnovers, we're going to get sacks, and we're going to completely disrupt their entire offensive game plan. The Texans also lost Jamal Hill, a depth linebacker who's valued for special teams. Just like our losses of Mickens and Davis, this means their special teams units are compromised. And Darrell Taylor, a key rotational defensive end, is questionable with an ankle injury. If he's out, our offensive line, which is already struggling with Salyer gone, gets a small break. They won't be able to rotate their pass rushers as much, which could lead to them tiring out late in the game and giving Herbert a crucial advantage in the fourth quarter. Now, it's not all good news. We have to acknowledge that Houston is getting healthier on the interior of their defense, and that creates a challenge for us. Sheldon Rankins and Azeez Al-Shaair both ended the week as full participants after being limited earlier. Rankins is a dominant interior defensive lineman, and his health means our interior offensive line is going to face a huge challenge, especially if we try to run the ball up the middle. Rankins can penetrate and disrupt, forcing us to find success outside. Al-Shaair is an excellent run-stopping linebacker and a leader of their defense. His health ensures their front seven is ready to shut down our ground game. If Vidal is out or limited, the healthy presence of Rankins and Al-Shaair could neutralize our efforts to establish a balanced offense. Dalton Schultz is also healthy, and that matters because he's a security blanket and reliable third-down target. Given the pressure their quarterback is going to face from Mack and Dupree, they'll need a fast, reliable target for quick, short throws. Dalton Schultz is that guy. Our secondary, already thin without St-Juste, has to be disciplined covering Schultz underneath to prevent easy completions that move the chains. But even with those concerns, the math is simple. The Texans losing both starting tackles and having to shuffle their line is catastrophic for them. It gives Mack and Dupree the chance to take over this game completely. This is the single biggest factor tipping the scales in our favor. So basically, it's a Chargers defense versus Texans offense. The Texans defense is at the #1 spot in many defense categories, but I'm satisfied with how Justin Herbert is playing and how our running backs and receivers are playing. Here is my prediction for the game. 21 Chargers, 17 Texans, and we can one step closer to our destination. Bolt up.